Long time ago, I mean a long time ago, men and women had the same kind of strength. Can you imagine that? They had the same kind of physical power. Until one day, men got so sick and tired of complaining and arguing with that woman about who gonna do this and who gonna do that, that he thought to himself, I got to do something about this him. So he got up early this Monday morning. He had been thinking about it. He got up early that Monday morning. He looked over there at his wife and he said, look at here, woman. He said, I'm going out this morning and see a man about a mule. But when I get back here, I'm going to have a whole lot to tell you, and your ears better be open for the listening. She looked over there at her husband and she thought, he got up with the devil in him. But she didn't say nothing to him, at least not that time. So he walked out of the house strutting around like a peacock on Christmas. And he said, where's my horse Nellie? She said, she over there. He said, all right. Then he got over there to Nellie and he grabbed Nellie up and he hooked Nellie up to his favorite old buckboard. And down the road he went. Clippity-clop, 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 clippity-clop. His clippity-clops were persistent. They were intentional. Because in actuality, he wasn't going to see a man about a mule. He was going to talk with God. He clippity-clopped all the way to heaven. And when he got there, God had his back turned and he seemed to be doing something. He heard him say, 4,302, 4,303. He said, excuse me, master. Excuse me, God. I just, you mind if I talk with you for a minute? God said, oh. He said, what is it? Today was a day that I decided to count the hairs on Samson's head. But it seems like every time I get started, and then God said, go ahead, tell me what you want. How can I help you? How can I help you? He said, master, if you don't mind, I ain't gonna take up much of your time. I just want to ask you one thing, just one thing. God said, go ahead on. He said, well, before I say anything, God, I want to say this to you. I sure do thank you for that woman you give me. Yes, indeed. I thank you for that woman you give me because she is exactly what you said she was going to be, a helpmeet. She is a helpmeet and she is meeting my help. God said, okay, I'm glad we could oblige you, but what do you need? Because I was counting it. Okay, God, I just want to ask you. Yeah, I just want to ask you one thing, if you don't mind. God said, any day now. He said, God, do you mind could I possibly have the power over the woman? God turned and he said, wait a minute, Lord, good kind master, before you say anything, I just was going to ask you, let you know that I don't even mind doing the heavy lifting. I could do all the heavy lifting. I don't mind. I just want to know if you could just give me the opportunity to boss the job. God said, okay, let me understand. So you don't mind doing the heavy lifting. You just want to, yeah, absolutely. I don't mind doing the heavy lifting. I don't mind. I just want to be able to boss the job. And God said, well, okay, I guess so. I mean, I can't see how that could hurt anything. Boss the job. Power. All power is yours. Now, is there anything else I can do for you? He says, no. So that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. He said, okay, because I know you was counting. He said, I was counting. And God turned his back and God said, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2. And as he began to count, man turned quickly and out the door he ran. Oh, he was happy. He was happy. He got back on that horse and he clippity-clop all the way home. He was so glad to get there. When he got to that house, he came in with his chest stuck out. He said, listen here, woman. He said, things are going to change around here. There's a new sheriff in town. You hear what I say? There's a new sheriff in town. So when you hear me say jump, you better say how high. When I say jump, she said, how high? He said, exactly. Well, that lasted about 3 days before she said, something got to be done about this. So she thought about it. What could she possibly do? And it came to her. She got up that next morning and she said, honey, if you don't mind, she said, on account that it's baptism Sunday coming, I was thinking about going to see the seamstress about some cloth. You don't mind, do you? He said, no, I don't mind if you go on there, but I tell you one thing. He said, you go out there, you get that cloth and you get back in here, you get back there quick. There's plenty of work to be done around his house. I said, plenty of work to be done. She said, I'll be back directly. He said, exactly. Well, she went out that front door and I'm telling you, she was already in heaven in her mind. She didn't even need to pull Nellie up. She got to running and she ran up that road same way he went. She ran so fast, she ran so hard. When she got to God, she said, excuse me, the master, there's something I want to talk to you about. The Lord said, 3. Oh, how can I help you? She said, God, master, if you don't mind, I just want to ask you one thing. I ain't got much to ask you, just one thing. He said, what is it that you need? She said, well, first, before I do anything, God, I just want to thank you for that man you gave me. He is a blessing to me. He is my Boaz. Thank you, Lord, for sending me that man. He said, glad that we could oblige. What can I do for you? She said, well, I just got one thing to ask you, God. Why'd you get a man all the power? He said, because he asked me. She said, Lord, is there any way possible maybe you can give me like part of the power? Maybe you give me 50% and you give him 50%. God said, no, now. I can't do that. He said, once I give something away, I don't generally take it back. I can't do that. Now, if you wanted 50% of the power, he said, you should have come by me earlier and then I'd have give it to you 50-50. But I can't turn and redo it now. I'm not going to be able to do that. She said, oh, yes, sir. She turned around and she walked out the pearly gates. And I'm telling you, she was mad. She was so mad that she started stumping and she started stumping. And the devil said, hey, what is going on up there? She said, oh, I am so mad. I want to talk with God about that. He said, come on down here, shorty. I already know what happened. He said, come on, sit down. Let me tell you what happened. She sat down and he said, so you're asking for power? She said, yes, because my husband, he said, oh, don't tell me. I already know. He said, don't worry about power. I'm going to tell you what you ought to do. He said, you go back up to heaven and you ask God to give you them 3 keys that he got sitting over there by the mantle place. Once he give you them 3 keys, you come on back down here and I tell you what to do with them. She said, 3 keys? I didn't see no keys. He said, don't worry about seeing them. They there. You go ask God for them 3 keys and come back down here. I'll tell you what to do with them. So she went running back up to God. She said, when she got there, his back was turning. He said, 7,302, 7,000. She said, hey, excuse me, God. He said, oh, how can I help you, woman? She said, God, I just come to ask you one thing. Do you mind if I had them keys up there? He said, what you gonna do with the keys? She said, I just would like to have the keys. Can I have them 3 keys on the mantle place? You don't mind. He said, take the keys. That's exactly what she did. She grabbed those keys and she ran back down to Satan. And she said, I got them. I got the keys. He said, you got them? She said, I got them. He said, let me see them. You ought to have. He said, you ought to have one about this big. Let me see the one you got about. Got one that big? She said, yes, I do. I have one that big. He said, I thought you had. I ain't seen him in a long time. He said, that key right there, that's the key to your kitchen. She said, key to my kitchen? He said, key to your kitchen. He can't even get his belly full unless he come by you. She said, oh, he said, You got another key. You ought to have one maybe about, he said, about yay big. You got one about yay big? She said, I do have one this big. She said, let me see it. Hold it up. She held it up. He said, He said, now that key right there, that's the key to your bedroom. She said, my bedroom? He said, you see where I'm going with this? She said, He said, I thought you would. He said, now you ought to have another one that's a little bit smaller than that one. It's about this big. You got one that big? She said, I do. I got one this big. He said, that's what I thought. He said, now that one right there, that's the key to your cradle room. He don't even know who his generations is unless you tell him. She said, oh. He said, yeah, you see where I'm going with this? She said, I do. He said, I know you do. He said, you take them 3 keys back up home with you. He said, when you get there, don't go in there making a bunch of noise, telling everybody, yeah, I got keys. Just keep your mouth closed and lock up everything. She said, oh. He said, and I guarantee you, you won't have no more problem about power around your house. She said, thank you, sir. She turned around and she did not run home. She did not skip. She sashayed all the way home. And when she made it home, she thought of what I do with myself today. She went and got her a nice, tall, cold glass of lemonade. She pulled a stool down out from the living room, put the stool on her front porch and cocked up her feet and began to drink. When her husband came home, he said, woman, what is you doing sitting around this house? Your feet cocked up like Queen Anne, all the work need to be done around here. All the work need to be done in the house. He said, what is you doing out here? She said, I'm just relaxing. Relaxing? All the box your ears, he said. He said, I bet you one thing, when I get back in that house, I better have my food. I know that my dinner better be ready. And he marched inside the house. She just got up and sauntered behind him. When he got ready to put his hand on the knob to the kitchen door, she reached in her bosom and she pulled out a key. Click. He said, what was that? She said, a key. He said, where you get that from? She said, God gave it to me. He said, well, I ain't fretting about no food, no way. He said, I done been around here sitting with the boys. I've been eating peanuts and drinking Pepsi all afternoon. I don't need no food, no way. I'm going to bed. And when he reached to grab the door handle, she reached in her, she said, click. He said, what was that? She said, a key. He said, where you get that from? God gave it to me. He said, God gave you another key? Yes, sir. He said, well, I don't want your kind of food neither. Yeah, I don't want your kind of food neither. He said, matter of fact, what I'm going to do is go in here and see maturing because you don't act right no way. I'm going in here to see maturing. And when he reached for the doorknob, she said, click. He said, don't tell me you got another key. She said, yes, sir. And don't tell me God give it to you. She said, he sure did. He said, huh. He looked at his wife close, as if to intimidate her. He said, how about you let me hold the keys some of the time, and I let you hold the power some of the time? She thought that might be a good idea. And right when she said that, the devil jumped up in her left ear and said, don't you do it. Don't you do it. You let him keep what he got, and you keep what you got. She looked back and she said, I think maybe I'll just let you keep what you got, and then I keep what I got. He looked at her in his eyeballs and he said, are you sure about that? Because I do have all power. She said to him, you might have all the power, but baby, I got all the keys. The end. That was Keys to the Kingdom, which was sourced by the beautiful, the magical Miss Zora Neale Hurston and interpreted by VBTouray. So hopefully you all enjoyed the story. I think that we are open for a few minutes for a few questions or a little bit of discussion. So I am here for at least another five minutes or so. Let me know if you have questions. I hope that you all enjoyed that. I'm just gonna kind of talk a little while we're doing it, but I hope that you all really enjoy that. And I'm telling you, if you don't know, if you have not known about Zora Neale Hurston and you found out today, I'd like to know that. Let me know that. If you're hearing about it for the first time, somebody says she loved it. Good. I'm glad, because I love it too. I will share this story with you real quick while we're waiting for the next 5 minutes or so. Somebody asked me, I think I might have shared this with Belinda too, but somebody asked me, how did you get into storytelling, right? And I had to think about it because I've been doing it a long time. And I thought, I don't even know. But then it dawned on me how I got into storytelling. I got into storytelling. Okay, so Mari says she's hearing about Zora for the first time. So you guys, so listen, your Friday night movie, girl, it should be Their Eyes Were Watching God, and it's on YouTube for free. So that's for all of you. That is, I mean, that's a fabulous love story. And it's not only that a fabulous love story, but it's loosely based on her life. So this woman, the protagonist in this story, she is every woman. You understand? She is every woman. So listen, I would love to even discuss it with y'all afterwards. So get at me somewhere so we can talk about it, what you thought about it once you saw it. But how I got into storytelling was, I'm a teacher by profession. I've been out of the classroom for about 20 years. Well, no, I'm sorry. No, I've been out of the classroom for about 6 or 7 years. And so what was funny was I remembered where I got into storytelling. When I was teaching, I always taught 9 through 12 alternative students. So we're talking about, the kids that think they're grown, right? They already think they're grown, even though they're not. They're still living at home. You can't tell them that, if you ride the big yellow, you are still not grown. They don't get that. So they're in my classroom acting like they're grown. But for me, I love for people to read to me. I always have. I love that. So Audible is my best friend. So when they were too noisy or too busy or their energy was too high, I would tell them, sit down, turn the lights out. What? Sit down, turn the lights off. Well, for what? Turn the lights off, put your head down, because I'm about to read to you. You're going to read to us. Oh my God, Mrs. Ray, you are not going. Yes, I am. Sit down, turn the lights off. I'm going to read you a story. And then I would start reciting the stories that I read in the Zora Neale Hurston books, right? Because there's a bunch of them. I only showed you 2 or 3 that are recent. There's a bunch of them, because once they start redoing those books, they started repackaging them. They're probably a total of about 15, 20. You need to get them. But the short stories, the porch tales in the vernacular, I would sit there and make them listen to them, right? It would calm their nerves. They would complain when I first did it and then thank me every time it was done and say, when are you going to do that again? Then when I do it again, they complain in the beginning and they say, oh, that was a good story, Mr. You got another one? So I think that's where I started really just kind of storytelling, because I loved her stories so much. You know, they were so rich and timeless, because even though we don't use that type of vernacular in particular, you know, I've gone places where it's real close, you know, it's real close, and the lessons don't change. Do I have a favorite story to tell? That probably is my favorite story to tell. That probably is my favorite story to tell. I do love that story. So that is how I don't know if any of you have been into storytelling, or whether you frequent storytelling events or not. But if you haven't, it is a great, it's a great way to unwind. It's a great way to disappear. You know what I mean? So, and if you have not considered, I don't work for audible.com, but I should. They should let me work for them. Y'all know anybody at Audible, tell them to send me a line. They got me at hello. If you don't have an Audible account, that's a great way to unwind too. It's a really, to just kind of to release some tension. I get the novels. I listen to novels. I listen to some, I don't listen to a lot of poetry there, but I listen to stories, novels, short stories on Audible. That is a great way to bring, to bring yourself down after a full day or something like that. I mean, a wonderful way. So if you all enjoyed the story, share it with somebody. Me too, Ray. I absolutely love it. I got into that when I started having children. You start losing time. You don't have time to do a lot of things. And I love to read. I didn't have time to read. So my babies were all over doing everything. And I learned that when they settled down, or when I was driving on my commute, that was a great way to catch a piece of a novel, Do you have any suggestions on how to support more undeserved communities in business or otherwise? Yeah, for me, yeah, one way to support, I've always done this. I put, if you're in small business, and if you're in a community where there isn't a lot of resources, I've always put on my schedule to do several pro bono events, right? Because a lot of times, especially in communities where they don't necessarily have the money, they're definitely not going to pay for something that inspires them or ignites them, right? Because they don't necessarily have that cash. And then sometimes they do, but they don't do what we think they should do with the cash, right? So sometimes when you go in and you make it a regular thing, kind of showing up with something they've not seen before, that really, you just never know what storyteller is sitting in the, in the audience, or you never know what little entrepreneur will be ignited by what you say or what they see you do. So I think one of the best ways to support them is just kind of show up. And I'm not saying all free, because sometimes we don't always respect free either. But every now and then to show up with something that's going to inspire somebody, I think we owe that to our communities, especially those that are undeserving, Our schools, and that's the other thing, schools and libraries, it's the same thing, because you get those same kids in the schools or at the library. So every now and then, if you can do something for the library or for a school in your district, I think that's a blessing. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I'm listening to the Devil in the Grove. Who is that by? Who is that by? Devil in the Grove. You're going to make me get my phone. I just finished one called, oh, it was good. Wait, I'm going to tell you what it is. Because I finished it on the way here today. I thought, ooh, that was good. How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House by Cherie Jones. And it is told in a Jamaican accent. and it takes place on some kind of, I want to say Jamaica, probably Jamaica, but they never say Jamaica, but definitely on an island, how the one-armed sister sweeps her house. And when the mother, the narrator starts off and gives you the little snippet, or it lets you know exactly why they called it that. I was swept in the first 5 minutes. I go, oh, this is going to be good. How the one-armed sister sweeps her house. Cherie Jones. That's a good one.
So VB, we want to thank you. This has been so enjoyable for us. And again, I mentioned earlier that this is our second storytelling event. I think we're liking them. And I think, we are certainly going to investigate others. Again, we had one last month for Black History Month. And of course, you are helping us support Women's History Month. And this has been just wonderful. We thank you. And I want to make sure that folks support you and your events. So please don't forget the Evolutionary SHE, the Black Dollar Power Market, the annual Touray Kwanzaa celebration, and the Yaktown Poets Revue. We want to thank you again, Great Lakes Women's Business Center and Seed Lending. Thank you for your time this afternoon. VBTouray, we thank you so much. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you for the invite. Oh, you made out. Great job.
That was wonderful.
I'm glad you did.
That was wonderful. It was wonderful. Yeah, I am listening to Double in the Grove. It's about Thurgood Marshall.
Oh, okay.